Was the Heist DLC too short, everybody? Well, that's the question that we're going to be answering today. Anyways, welcome back, true believers and all you spectacular Spidey fans, to another really interesting Spider-Man PS4 related video, once again talking about the Heist DLC that we have received for the game. Now, in case you missed it, I did do my fully in-depth review of the Heist, where I gave it a solid 9 out of 10, given all the content that was included within it, as well as the amount of money that you had to pay for it. But there is one certain concern that a lot of people are talking about within the Spider-Man PS4 community, discussing whether or not it was too short given the amount of money that you had to spend in order to play it, as well as all the content that came along with it. Now, in this video, I'm just going to give all my thoughts without editing too much, because I have a lot to say about it, as well as the DLC culture that we see in a lot of other games, not just from Insomniac, but other games in general, but mainly to refer to another game that was made from Insomniac, is indeed Sunset Overdrive. And if you don't know, that game did have a few couple DLC packs that were included within the main game, and each of those included new missions, new weapons that you could use in order to take out all the OD in Sunset City, as well as new quests and challenges that you could do throughout the open world, and even some new traversal moves that came in the equipment as well that you got with the downloadable content, and even some new story missions that added some new boss fights as well. So there was a lot of content within those DLC packs. However, each individual DLC pack had a total amount of at least over an hour and a half worth of content for the entirety of the DLC, placed at the same price as the Heist was at $10, and there were two in specific for Sunset Overdrive, where there was one titled The Dawn of the Rise of the Fallen Machines or something like that, and the other one was Muil Rig, and those both had boss fights and new challenges and new enemies to take out, as well as new traversal moves and weapons that you could use in the city, but both of those were priced at $10 at a total amount of $20, and some people liked that, but overall they received kind of like 7 or 8 in terms of ratings from other websites and game people that actually played it. But for Spider-Man, it is a different case, since there is a lot going on within this DLC. Like I already brought up in my review, there is really high quality content within the DLC. The only problem is it does feel a little short when you do look back at it. However, you do have to look at the bigger picture. The reason why I say that is because the Heist is just one part of a 3-part series of the entirety of the City That Never Sleeps DLC pack. So when you think about it, the City That Never Sleeps pack is the entirety of the DLC that we are getting for Spider-Man PS4. It's just that it's being split up into 3 separate parts, each being released monthly, so that way players can continuously keep invested within Spider-Man PS4 without getting bored and without having another game take the attention away from Spider-Man, seemingly what Red Dead Redemption 2 is doing right now. But there are still a lot of hardcore players like myself that are super invested within Spider-Man PS4 still, mainly because of this monthly DLC plan that Sony, Marvel, and Insomniac are doing for this game, which I do think in retrospect is a really good idea. Instead of having the entirety of the content be available 3 months after the main game's release in September, where a lot of people would actually have forgotten about the main game anyway after they've beaten the main campaign and done all the side content, it is a good idea to have the content keep coming out each month, so that way players can keep coming back to play the game and experience something new every month, which I do find is a good business strategy for them and a way to keep the player invested in the main game, which is why I think it would have been a bad idea if they held everything off in December, where they released everything at once, which, if you think about it, the City That Never Sleeps DLC pack in reality is about a 9 to 10 hour long pack of DLC content that you can and get within Spider-Man PS4. Now, what I mean by this is that Insomniac have basically said that each new upcoming DLC pack will indeed include the same amount of content that the Heist had, which means that it will most likely be the same amount of length that the Heist was, where it took about a total of 3 hours max to fully 100% the entirety of the Heist, from doing the main mission, side content, and all the collectibles in the city, as well as unlocking the suits and doing all the crimes that you can do as well in the main area of Manhattan, with the screwball challenges, collectible artworks, and all that sort of things that do come within the Heist DLC. And Insomniac basically said that we can expect similar types of gameplay attributes tailored to Turf Wars and Silver Lining coming in November and December. So when you add all that up, that is going to be a total amount of at least 9 to 10 hours worth of max content for the entirety of the City That Never Sleeps DLC pack once it is fully released in December. But if we are just looking at the main picture of the Heist, it mainly came with new missions, new side content, new crimes in different districts, new suits, as well as new collectibles that you can find scattered throughout the city. However, there are some problems with it. It's not a perfect DLC pack because other DLC content have managed to do a fantastic job in other games like Horizon Zero Dawn, Frozen Wilds, or even The Witcher 3 has done stuff similar to that as well. But in terms of Spider-Man, you do have to look at the bigger picture that this DLC is doing, which is making it a fully episodic adventure instead of one giant DLC pack, which is the main problem that I think a lot of people are looking at. Instead of just saying, oh, it's one pack of DLC, instead, oh, it's a whole pack of a 3 episodic long story that is going to be fully completed within December once all of it is released to its entirety. And that, I think, is where the main problem is originating from. And I do think a lot of people are kind of misinterpreting what the DLC is, and some people are indeed thinking, oh, they just took this stuff out of the main game to make it for their own little DLC pack to get an extra quick buck. But instead, they are still working on all these DLC packs as we speak, trying to make them as the best quality as possible, and trying to add as much story that they possibly can with the characters that they are implementing within the DLC packs. I will say, though, I do wish that there was a bit more story content relating to Black Cat and Spider-Man's relationship. It didn't feel rushed, but I do feel like they could have added a bit more narrative pieces with Felicia Hardy's character and Spider-Man interacting with each other. Although I do like the story content that they added for a DLC. I'm not expecting an entire brand new game of like 4 to 5 hours worth of story content, but for a DLC pack and the story that they were focusing on mainly relating to Black Cat, I do wish that they added a bit more narrative pieces with her. And of course, the main problems that I do have with the heist is that none of the suits have any powers, and that some of the crimes in the city are only tailored to specific districts of Manhattan instead of all the districts. If you're going to have crimes in certain districts, why not have all the districts have crimes, so that way players can keep playing and have more content to play through within this DLC. And of course, the same thing goes for all the suits and suit powers that we get within this DLC pack. Now, you could say that some of the suits look great or that they look terrible, depending on your personal preference of each costume, but one thing I will say, for a DLC pack that you are paying for, I do not personally like the Spider UK suit that I have to pay money to wear that suit when I would never actually wear it. And even further, none of the suits within this DLC or any of the future DLC packs of Turf Wars or Silver Lining will have any powers tailored to them, which was a big part of one of the reasons why suits were so impactful for certain players and why people want to continuously unlock suits when playing the main game to see which power each suit had. And the fact that Insomniac confirmed that none of the suits within the Heist, Turf Wars, or Silver Lining will have any powers tailored to them whatsoever is, in my opinion, really disappointing. I do think that if you are paying money for some new suits, and some of them you may not even like, the least that they could do is add new powers tailored to them to make it more, I guess, entertaining to wear them whenever you feel like, or at least use a power on that suit and equip it to another one, so that way you can have a different set of play styles for you to experience within playing in the Heist, Turf Wars, or Silver Lining. And another complaint that I see is that a lot of people are saying that instead of having it be priced at $10, it should have been priced at about $5 or $4.99, which I do not agree with at all. Now, I'm not trying to justify saying that you should pay more money for this, but I don't justify the means of having it be that low of a price, considering how much quality that this DLC has. They definitely focus more on quality over quantity with each of these DLC packs, and clearly what we're seeing with this huge episodic long story, it's going to fully conclude by December when Silver Lining releases and all that stuff has come out with all the DLC narratives wrapping up and the new suits released. But I do not think that it should be priced at such a low price, considering all the quality cutscenes that we get in the Heist with Black Cat and Spider-Man, and seeing what we're most likely going to get with Hammerhead and presumably Silver Sable in Silver Lining. That and all the challenges do actually add a bit of new entertainment to them, like the Screwball stuff. I don't like Screwball too much as a character, but her challenges are at least really, really fun to do. The collectibles are subpar, I guess, since you just go around the city and finding collectibles, and the crimes are the same as you do in the main game, but I don't think that there could be anything else that you could do to change the crimes in such a way that would make it feel more innovative and fresh. They do add the new Bomb Squad challenges with the spider drones and just disarming bombs, but other than that, that is the same amount of types of crimes that you do in the main game. But still, I don't see what else that they could have added to the crimes to make it any different from the main game. But overall, the main question that we are answering here, was the Heist too short? I do think that it was priced at a fair amount because of all the quality that you get within this first piece of DLC, and considering that you also are experiencing a 3-part episodic long story with the entirety of the City That Never Sleeps pack instead of one piece of DLC that some people see as a side story and that's it, which is why it has the to be continued at the end of the Heist to keep players invested and trying to keep paying more to play the upcoming packs, which that way they can keep playing the game instead of having to wait until all the way in December to have all the content released in 1 month, and instead spread them out in 3 months separately to keep players invested within the main game, to see new content come out each month, just so that players can keep invested, and that way they don't go to another game and then they expect something else within coming months. And there still is a possibility that we could get DLC in 2019, but we will just have to wait and see about that. But overall, the main question that we're answering here is, was the Heist short? And in my opinion, I do not think it was, given the amount of content that we did get for a 3-part episodic piece of DLC. Once again, you have to keep in mind this isn't just a one-off DLC, but rather one part of a 3-part series that is going to continuously add on to the story, add new content and challenges, as well as new suits for the player to wear in the overall game. So I do think if you look at it from that standpoint, and seeing how once the entirety of the City That Never Sleeps DLC is released, we are going to have a total of at least amount of 9 to 10 hours worth of overall content, from the main story to side missions to suits and collectibles that you can find within each part of the City That Never Sleeps DLC pack. And seeing how that is the case, I do not think that the Heist is short, considering how much more content we are going to get in the future. But with all that said, everybody, please let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. I know this was me rambling a lot and just kind of ranting about this one particular topic, but a lot of people were discussing about it, and I thought I would give my 2 cents on it and just kind of give you my honest thoughts without editing or anything. Let me know if you actually like this type of video where I don't edit a lot and I just give you my honest, raw thoughts, or if you do want me to edit in another video, I can most likely and most definitely do that for all you guys. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Stay spectacular, Spidey fans. Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. Peace out.